Today I'm going to teach you how to design this Summer Vibes file from scratch. You're going to start with solid letters. You're going to slice them out and create this Summer Vibes file, and it's easy. Hi, I'm Sarah and I am the designer behind Extraordinary Chaos, and I'm here to make you into your own designer. And in episode 10 of Cricut for Beginners, I am going to show you how to make outline text words. And it's amazing the skills you start to develop when you start working through programs such as this, because these machines are easy to use if you know how. There's no dark art to it. There's no I'm no better than anybody else. I've just learned the tips and tricks, and I'm here to share them with you. What we're going to do now is we're going to nip onto Cricut Design Space and start designing this from scratch, and you're going to craft along with me. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is type our word. So we want the word vibe, and then we're going to go into text, and we're going to go into system text and just choose Arial black. So you're going to make your letters larger, and then you are going to ungroup them. And what you're going to do then is you're going to go through them letter by letter and create an offset. So we're going to move those out of the way, get the first one, go up to the offset tool and create an offset. So you want it big enough. Mine's 0.163. I'm going to right click to select both layers and I'm going to slice it out. And that's given me my outline letter. And I'm going to go through and do that with the rest of the word. And that's the basis for designing these files. It's that easy. You can do it with any word, any numbers. It's so easy. So I'm going to download some elements that you will need something, and you'll see why later. So we've got a sun, a pair of flip-flops, a bunting and a tree. And I've created these in a file so that you can download these. There's a link below so that you can get those to create your own file. I created this tree last year. It was a stamp, but I've just flipped the contour so that I can use the tree. And now we're going to start making our words. So we're going to get letters V and I, and I want it to be a bit wonky. So I'm going to see if, oh, yep, the corner tool's there today. I'm going to just angle my letter I. Now what you've got to do now is you've got to decide on the dominant layer. So I think my dominant layer is going to be my letter V. So I'm going to duplicate that, and then the layer that's left over with the I am going to remove the contour, and that's because I'm going to slice it out with the bottom layer and I don't want any lines left. So when you right click, select all and click slice, you end up with a clean cut, and I can just remove all of that debris. Then I can go back to my original letter V that I've duplicated, pop it back in place and position them together. Now I'm going to select all and click weld, and you've just got to make sure that they're touching properly. So now I'm going to pull my B in and size my B where I want it to be. That's too many B's there for me. Once I've got the right size, then I'm going to duplicate my V and I, because they're going to be my dominant letters. And by dominant, I mean they're going to be the one that I see the full letter of. Now, once I've duplicated that, I am going to go into the contour tool and I'm going to remove the contour on the I, because we need that contour gone to slice it out. Now I can right click and click slice, and that's taken away anything that I don't want. I can remove the debris. Now I can drag my V and I back into place and position it, and you can see you've got to get it right. And once I do that, I can right click and click weld, and then that will all become one layer. So now we've got the last letter to add, which is my letter E, but I want to show you, I'm going to duplicate this and I'm going to show you what happens if you don't choose a dominant layer and if you don't use the slice and weld and contour technique. So when I've turned this file white, you can see that everything's touching. It will cut really nice and smoothly, apart from the middle of the B, which we will address later. There is also no overlap. Now we're going to drag this E in and we're just going to weld it. We're not going to slice it out or do anything with it. I'll position it and weld it, and then you can see the difference of the overlap and the effect it has on the total look of the word. Before we do that, I'm going to duplicate the word and the letter E, because we're going to do it the right way as well. And I'm going to weld this together, and then you can just see that you've got that overlap. It's not clean and it just looks a bit scrappy. So now we're going to duplicate the top layer again, the vibe layer, and we're going to remove the contour in the letter B. That's going to be our dominant letter. We're going to slice it out of the E, get rid of all the debris, and bring our 3 letters back and put them together and weld together, and you can see the difference in the quality of the cut and how it looks. Now we're going to create an offset on the whole word, and this just makes it look a bit chunkier and makes it easy to cut. And we're going to add some elements. The reason we're adding elements is because I want everything touching, and the letter B's got 2 bits in the middle that don't touch. So if you add a few elements, look at the areas you need to add them first. So what I've done is I've sliced out my bunting just to take the middle bit of that B out so that my bunting flag really stands out. But that also connects the center to the edges. And now we're going to turn it white, and that will tell us if we've welded it correctly. So just turn the file white, and you can see there that it hasn't connected to the edges. So we're going to undo it and just adjust our bunting flag a bit to make sure that it's touching the middle, because that's really important. Now you can do this by adding a very tiny offset to your bunting flag, and that will just bridge that gap, and it's the tiniest one so it doesn't alter the shape of the flag. Click apply and then go back and weld. You don't need to move anything, and that will solve your problem. Any joins that aren't touching just will not cut properly. Now we're going to put the sun up there, but we are going to slice the sun out so that it sticks out of the letter. So I'm going to duplicate my sun, go back to my original sun and remove the contours, and we're going to slice it out, and that will slice out any edges that we don't need that will get in our way. There was a bit there, so I've just removed that. Then I'm going to go back and put my sun in. You can see now that the line will not be in the way of my sun. I've actually sliced out a little bit for it to go in, put a tiny offset in, and then select all and weld. Check it's okay, and yes it is, and then we can go on to the next layer. So we're just going to pop the tree in anywhere. The tree isn't really going to affect the edges because it's a solid image, and solid images generally don't, unless you on the B you want to create a space for it. So I'm going to weld that, and now the last bit is to connect the bottom of my B. I'm going to make my flip-flops a bit chunkier because they're so thin that they would just cut wrong. So I'm just putting a little offset in, and then I'm going to make sure it's connected to the inside and the outside and weld that all together. And now you can see that this is all one touching file, and it will cut. You're not going to have any little scrappy bits to attach. Now I'm going to type in my summer. I'm going to go to System Fonts, and Magic Love is one. I think I got it from Design Bundles, but I'm going to use that. And I'm going to weld it to the top again to make sure that it's touching. I'm going to duplicate that and put that out of the way because I'm only going to do the summer for the top layer because there's no point cutting that out multiple times. So we'll position it and then right click and weld together, and there's my top layer. So I'm going to turn that white because my top layer will be white glitter. Now we're going to go to the second layer. So this is going to be the sun layer. So I'm going to remove the sun and I think the letter B. So I'm gradually going to remove the letters, but I've made a mistake and I wanted to show you this because it's really easy to remedy. So what I've done is I've clicked on the outline of my letter. If you go back in and click on the top one, the outline, it will bring it back. Sometimes you click it by accident when removing contours and people really panic, and I've had messages where people have said like it's not working. It's just that you've clicked on the outside of the layer. And now we're going to make that layer yellow, and then we're also going to duplicate it because it's the duplicated layer that you create the contours in. So we're going to remove the elements of the V, and that's going to be our pink layer. So duplicate that, put one at the top at the back and turn that pink, and we're starting to build up the colours of the file. So this layer is going to be my orange layer. I'm going to move my eye and I'm going to remove the flip-flops, but I did go back at the end before I cut it and I changed my flip-flops to the pink layer by moving the contours in the pink layer just because it didn't work for me, but you'll see why in a minute. So I'm going to move this to the back and turn it orange, and it just looked insipid, but all you've got to do is remove them in the pink layer to remedy that. It's really easy. So I've now removed the letter E, send that to the back, and we're going to do that green, and there you go, it's all done and ready to cut. If you want to make any changes, you can make them in the layers, and that's simple to do. But we're going to cut that out, and then we're ready to build our file. And I decided to go for glitter cardstock for my top layer, and then all of the rest I use coloured cardstock. I feel like you only really need one level of glitter on most files. We're all cut out. Going to weed this last section off. Just help that there with my hook. And this mat has seen better days now. But it's hanging on there because I'm using my brayer. It just shows the difference it makes when you've got one of those. Here our files all cut out, and what we're going to do is we're going to line them up first. It's important to line them up so that you can make sure that they're in the right positions. Already I know that's wrong. And there you go, that's right, like that. I'm going to build it from the back upwards, and I think for this one I'm going to use sticky pads. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fast forward some of it, so I'm going to tell you about the prep now, and then you can just see it built in fast forward rather than me spend ages on that. But stay around because you want to see the end result and how it looks. What I've done is, because some of these are quite fine, I've got my scissors and I'm cutting these really tiny, the square sticky pads in half, because that is all you need, and then they will help just to hold it on the back. Now the bigger ones, we can put bigger sticky pads on, and I'm going to use these and cut these in half. They don't need to be huge. It saves money. It's not something you see, so you may as well cut them down. Once I've got those sticky pads on, then we can use the half ones, and this is just a really good tip before I start fast forwarding you, is use your hook to pick them up because they're so tiny. So to get the sticky pads off, use your hook, and you can usually get quite a few in one go. You just nip in and pull the top off, and that saves all that faffing about getting stuck up and getting your fingers stuck to them. They're all done now. And now flip it over, align it up, and build your letter. Now somebody gave me a really good tip the other day. It was somebody that commented, so you're probably watching now, so thank you. And that was to try putting a little bit of glue on so that they slip about a bit. So I might give that a go. And basically the principle is that because they're so sticky and they can't move, if there's a tiny little bit of glue on, you've got a bit of movement. Right, okay, so I'm going to fast forward you now, and I'll see you at the other side. So I love how that's turned out, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some detail with my Pintasser acrylic paint pens. So these are from Amazon, and they're brilliant. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to choose two letters to create some detail on, the orange and the green. And all I want to do is just create a little bit of texture. And there you go, that looks fab. A summer vibes file, and you can make these for every season. I was just going to make a vibe, but then I thought, no, because we can do this every season. We can craft it together. So this is the start of our making words together. And the summer vibes file is perfect for creating scrapbook layouts, or I'm just going to put this on my wall and decorate my craft room wall. You can put it as framed arts. It's great for parties. They're really good, useful files. You can also use the top layer, use them with HTV, and make sweaters with them and t-shirts. It's just such a versatile file, and you can make any word and any design you want. And in the next episode, I am going to show you how to make the easiest cake topper in the world. A simple 5-minute cake topper that you can just whip up for any last-minute cake. And if you haven't seen my previous videos and you want to create this into an outline word, then go and check those out, because there's lots of tutorials of how to make split monograms, cake toppers. I have shared all of my tips with you. Thanks for crafting along with me again. Any questions and anything you thought was difficult or what you found was really easy, please do let me know in the comments below, and happy crafting. I will see you next time.